It is overtime here again at Old Favorite Friday, where we discuss incredible classic beers. A lot of people have said to us, you need to review this beer, you need to review that beer. I want to say up front here, we don't review beer here. Reviewing a beer would be more like trying a beer for the first time and giving your honest opinion as far as it's good, bad, or indifferent. Breaking these beers down and telling us what you think about them. While we do tell you, or I do tell you more often than not, what I think about a beer, every beer we have, we try beforehand, and we are only featuring breweries and beers that are absolutely incredible. That's the whole point of this series, is to only talk about beers and give them props and credit for making incredible beers for years and years. And that's why we're do Old Favorite Friday. And with that in mind, just to clarify that for many people, we have the Deschutes Black Butte. Now, this is a beer that I had years and years ago. And I'll be honest with you, I only had this beer one time at a bottle share, I'm going to say 12, 13 years ago, early on in my craft beer journey. I remember enjoying it, but I didn't remember much about it. So when this was recommended to me as a beer that I have to do, and it was available for me down here in South Florida, I picked the beer up. I tried it because I wanted to say, hey, is this a beer that I can get behind for Old Favorite Friday? Because not only are these have to be classic, incredible beers, they have to be beers that I'm passionate about, hence I can actually talk about them and get excited about them. I don't feature beers that people recommend that I don't think are that high of quality, and it does happen more often than you'd expect. But the Black Butte, I dove back into this beer after not having it in a long time. And man, this is a goddamn good beer. This beer is absolutely incredible. It is a porter that is so well balanced, and I've been featuring a lot of porters recently and so it's obviously I love the style, and this may be the most velvety, smooth, and well balanced porter. And it's hard to say that because so many of them are so good. I don't want to take that as like an insult to Bell's Porter or something like that it's not as smooth as this, but this just has such a great balance to it. It has zero of there's bitterness from the malt, the kind of coffee flavor that you're going to get out of a porter that you're supposed to, but it's so well integrated. It's not acrid at all as far as like bitterness or acidic. It's not intrusive. It's so well integrated into the beer itself, resulting in this such a creamy mouthfeel. So all those coffee flavors and those dark malt flavors, those roast flavors are they're there, but they are not dominating the conversation at all. It's leaving me open to that creamy mouthfeel. It's leaving me open to these hints of like really rich dark fruit, which I love. A good porter to me does have that. I mean, just these subtle whispers of like a dark fruit kind of flavor. And this just gets it for me. Deschutes, I haven't had a lot of beers from Deschutes over the years. They haven't been available. They're from Oregon. They've been around since 1988. This beer's been around since 1988. And I know them mostly for the Abyss, which is a beer that was so sought after when I first got into beer in the trading community. For those of you who don't know, that people have been trading beers for years, trying to get their hands on rare beer. So Abyss, we'd get verticals of Abyss and drink that together. It's an imperial stout that I believe they still make. And I feel like a beer like this, even though people in the know have always known that this beer is great, I feel like it kind of has to play second fiddle to those more like higher gravity, more sought after beers that people were willing to trade for and pay an arm and a leg on a secondary market. And this is great, and I haven't had it in several years, but every time I've ever had it, I've enjoyed it. I think I like this beer better. I think this beer is more well balanced. I think this beer is more interesting. I think it's more approachable. It probably also pairs with food more readily and more easily. It's just something that's really, really special. And if you I don't know if it's something on their website, but if you go and look this beer up, you will see, I mean, medals after medals of Great American Beer Fest and World Beer Cup and local championships and international championships of people recognizing that this beer is kind of a leader in the style. And I've mentioned this so many times in the past, but it bears repeating again, is that when us as brewers want to brew a beer style maybe that we haven't done in the past, or we just don't do very often, it's a style that we have like in the back of our Rolodex, like, oh, I make porters all the time. We go to beers like this, just like this one, and say, okay, where's my foundation? Where am I building my porter recipe off of? And you could do a lot worse than if you're making a porter for the first time, drink this beer, think about it, contemplate it, see what they're trying to do, and try to replicate it. And then you put your own spin on it, obviously. But you need a foundation, and you can't get much better of a foundation of a porter than Deschutes Black Butte. like I always say, as I'm sitting here and this beer is warming up a little bit, it's even more expressive, even smoother, even better. I mean, it's just such a great beer. I'm so happy this is available in my hometown where I am, because I'm not sure how often or how long it's been available. Sometimes, the shelves are so packed that you don't know what's available to you, but I just happened to see it and was thrilled that someone made a recommendation. I was able to revisit this beer after all these years. I love giving food and beer pairings when it comes to these. We also have our series, The Perfect Pair, where we talk specifically about food and beer pairings, if you want to check that out on our YouTube channel. But this beer, I mean, smoked meats, grilled meats, they're really classic for porters. I think smoked duck would go so well with this. Those game meats with duck, it brings out those fruity flavors. I think that brings out, excuse me, the fruity flavors in the porter even more, which I think is a nice little trick. But another thing I think you would, if you want to do something simple, you don't want to smoke a whole duck, get yourself a nice high quality brie, do like a bacon and brie sandwich, and if you can get like a fig jam, I mean, those flavors together of the dark fruit, the smokiness of the meat, the creaminess of the brie cheese, each one of those aspects all are kind of textbook things that go with porters. So a bacon, brie, and fig jam grilled cheese sandwich, I mean, that's going to be magic with this beer. So guys, thank you very much for joining me again for Old Favorite Friday. We love having you here. We love your recommendations. I would not be drinking this beer right now if someone had not reached out and said, hey, you got to do Black Butte. You've been doing porters recently. Why haven't you done Black Butte? There was no good reason other than the fact that I hadn't had it in years and I didn't even know it was available. So it's your ideas that keep this series going. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe to this. Please also go to the rest of our videos on YouTube and poke around. We'd love to get the views and could look at the Perfect Pair series if you're really into food and beer pairings. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.